So students, today we'll take up the topic on endothermic reactions and exothermic reactions. Now, based on whether heat energy is absorbed or given out during a chemical reaction, chemical reactions can be categorized or classified into two types. Those chemical reactions or processes in which heat energy is absorbed are called endothermic reactions. Now, some examples of endothermic reactions are, like, for example, you take the decomposition of calcium carbonate, right? When calcium carbonate, in order to decompose it, you have to supply heat energy. So when heat energy is supplied to calcium carbonate, it decomposes into calcium oxide and carbon dioxide gas is liberated. We had seen this reaction while learning chemical equations, right? So decomposition of calcium carbonate is an example of an endothermic reaction, because during decomposition of calcium carbonate absorbs heat energy. Okay, it could be supplied heat energy by putting it over a flame. Sometimes even it spontaneously reacts by absorbing heat energy from the surrounding. So such chemical reactions where heat energy is absorbed, they are called as endothermic chemical reactions. Even there are some physical processes which basically absorb heat energy. A very good example of a physical process, I am not talking about chemical, okay. So you have ice melting into water, right? Now when you take out the ice cube from a refrigerator and keep it on a table, you see it melting into water, right? So what is happening at that point of time is the ice is absorbing the heat from the atmosphere and then getting converted from a solid state into the liquid state, that is water. So it's a very good example of an endothermic physical process, right? So there are many physical processes also. Another example you can perform in a laboratory is you put potassium nitrate in water. The moment you put crystals of potassium nitrate in water, heat energy, you'll touch the beaker, you'll find that the beaker is hot. So when potassium nitrate is put in water, it undergoes decomposition into potassium and nitrate, okay, by absorbing heat heat energy, right? So it actually absorbs the heat energy from the surrounding and then it decomposes into potassium and nitrate. Students, during the process of photosynthesis, what happens? The plants, they absorb carbon dioxide from the atmosphere, and in the presence of sunlight, when I say sunlight, I am talking about the light energy as well as the heat energy. They absorb the sunlight along with carbon dioxide from the atmosphere and they synthesize carbohydrates or their food. So the process of photosynthesis too is a endothermic reaction. So students, I have told you about endothermic reaction. I have given you some examples of endothermic reaction. So we have understood that those reactions or processes in which heat energy is absorbed are called as endothermic reactions. We will again look at the examples on the board itself. Then exothermic reactions are those reactions or processes in which heat energy is given out. We will look at those examples too subsequently and discuss later. So students, here we have the reactions in which heat energy is absorbed is called an endothermic reaction. I told you the decomposition of calcium carbonate. You can see calcium carbonate absorbs heat energy either by being put on a flame or from the surrounding and decomposes into calcium oxide and carbon dioxide. Even you can see potassium chlorate. Potassium chlorate also absorbs heat energy and decomposes into potassium chloride and oxygen. Then you also have the dissolution of potassium nitrate in water. When potassium nitrate is put in water, it absorbs the heat energy either from the surroundings and from the water as well, and then decomposes into potassium and nitrate. I told you there is a physical process. See, this is also a physical process. It can't be termed as a chemical process. It absorbs heat energy and just splits up into potassium and nitrate. Here, this is a very good example of a physical process in which the ice cube is absorbing atmospheric heat from the surrounding and then getting converted into water. So these are all examples of endothermic reactions. Now let us look at some examples of exothermic processes and exothermic chemical reactions. So here we have exothermic reactions. Now what are exothermic reactions? The reactions in which heat energy is given out or released are called exothermic reactions. Some few examples of exothermic reactions. You take sodium hydroxide and dissolve it in water. That's why I have written aqueous solution. When you dissolve sodium hydroxide in water, right, sodium hydroxide decomposes into sodium, water molecules, and heat energy is liberated. Right? So it's an example of an exothermic reaction where heat energy is liberated. You dissolve calcium oxide in water. When calcium oxide is dissolved in water, it leads to the formation of calcium hydroxide with the tremendous amount of heat energy being liberated. Also, if you make hydrochloric acid react with sodium hydroxide, you have sodium chloride being formed along with water and a lot of heat energy. Students, even the process of digestion of food in our body is an example of an exothermic reaction, because during the digestion of food, lot of heat energy is liberated. You measure those heat energy in terms of calories. So a lot of calories of heat get liberated on digestion of food. Now let us look at some physical processes which are exothermic. Right? We have just now had a look at some chemical reactions. Let's look at some physical processes. The phenomenon of water turning into ice is a very good example of an exothermic physical process. What happens is that when you try to convert water into ice by putting it in a refrigerator or a freezer, the heat energy within water is given out and it loses its heat energy and gets converted into ice. Now students, there is another physical process. They could ask you this in give reason. This is basically the process of diluting concentrated sulfuric acid. Right? Now there are two ways by which you can dilute concentrated sulfuric acid. Either you pour water into sulfuric acid or you pour sulfuric acid into the water. Now there are two things. Now let me explain to you this process. When you start pouring water into concentrated sulfuric acid, a large amount of heat energy is given out and water starts evaporating very fast, giving out a lot of heat energy, and it may cause an accident, right? So it is not preferable to add water to sulfuric acid to dilute concentrated sulfuric acid. If concentrated sulfuric acid is to be diluted, many a times they will always prefer this process. This process is not preferred because it liberates a lot of heat energy, so it can cause accidents. Whereas if this process is a more preferred process, you take the concentrated sulfuric acid, you take a water in a test tube, right? And you keep on adding slowly sulfuric acid to it. Instead, here what we did, we were adding water to sulfuric acid, right? Here you add sulfuric acid to water is much better, because in this process what happens, less amount of heat energy is liberated. So students, you have just seen the two types of reactions, based on whether heat energy is absorbed during the reaction or heat energy is released. If heat energy is absorbed during a chemical reaction or a physical process, it is called as endothermic reaction, and when heat energy is released or given out during a physical process or a chemical reaction, it will be called an exothermic process. So students, during the next lecture we will take up oxidation reaction and reduction reaction. Prepare for the same. Till then, students, take care, stay safe, and thank you all of you.